Hello all, welcome to Roads to Missouri YouTube channel. In this video, we are discussing the answers to the live test on polity that have been conducted in the UPSC Quizzer Telegram channel. Without much delay, let's get into the first question. Consider the following statements. A constituent assembly to frame a constitution for India was first demanded by the Muslim League in 1934. The statement is wrong. Why? Because the idea of a constituent assembly to frame a constitution for a country, it was first demanded by Indian National Congress in 1934. And this idea was alien to British imperial practice. Let's see the second statement. The Indian National Congress was opposed to the idea of a constituent assembly elected by adult franchise. This statement is wrong because Muslim League was opposed to it, because it suspected that a constituent assembly elected by adult franchise would be dominated by the Congress, whom the League considered to be a Hindu party. Here, both the statements are wrong and the answer is D. Second question. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was the chairman of the Constituent Assembly of India. Second statement. K. Munshi was the chairman of Order of Business Committee. Both the statements are correct. Let's have some idea about Constituent Assembly and the draft constitution. See, the Constituent Assembly set up a large number of committees on procedural matters. Some of the committees consulted outsiders besides discussing the issues thoroughly. After the preliminary works were completed, the reports of the committees were discussed in the Constituent Assembly. They were forwarded to the drafting committee for incorporation of the recommendations in the draft constitution. The draft constitution was moved in the Constituent Assembly. There were 3 readings of the draft constitution. Some of the draft provisions were discussed again and again. The debate was thorough and intensive. After nearly 3 years of work, the Constituent Assembly of India produced the world's biggest written constitution. It was authenticated by the chairman of Constituent Assembly, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, on 29th November 1949. And it came into force on 26th January 1950. K. Munshi was the chairman of Order of Business Committee. Here option C. The third question. Consider the following statements. The Parliament of India can form new states by separation of a territory from any state. The statement is correct. Second statement. The prior recommendation of the President is required in a bill that seeks to change or alter the area of a state. The bills that seek to change or alter the name, boundaries, area of a state or to form a new state by separation of a territory from any state under Article 3 of the Indian Constitution require prior recommendation of the President. Here, both the statements are correct. Option C. Next question. Which of the following statements is or are correct? First one. Article 1 of the Constitution says that India shall be a federation of states. Is the statement correct? Article 1 of the Constitution states that India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. This statement is wrong. Second one, the advocacy of secession has the protection of the freedom of expression. It is not possible for the states of the Union of India to exercise any right of secession. By the 16th Amendment of the Constitution in 1963, it has been made clear that even the advocacy of secession will not have the protection of the freedom of expression. Here, both the statements are wrong. Option D. Next one. Consider the following statements. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? First statement. Article 2 states that the President may by law admit new states into the Union of India. Is that the President? It's a Parliament. So the first statement is wrong. Second one, the Parliament can establish new states on terms and conditions it deems fit. The statement is correct. So option B. This is a question on Government of India Act 1858. Let's go through the act in brief. The Government of India passed from the hands of English East India Company to the Crown. The armed forces of the company were transferred to the Crown. We know that. The Board of Control and the Court of Directors were abolished. Their place was taken by the Secretary of State of India and his Indian Council. They were to govern India in the name of Her Majesty. The Secretary of State was to sit in the Parliament. He was a cabinet minister of the England and as such was responsible to the Parliament. The ultimate power over India remained with the Parliament. The Act created an Indian Council of 15 members It was to advise the Secretary of State who could overrule its decisions. The approval of the Council was essential in financial matters. Most of the members of the Indian Council were those who had retired from the Indian services. Let's read the statements. First statement, the Board of Control and the Court of Directors were abolished, correct. The Act created an India Council of 15 members, correct. The Secretary of State was to sit in the Parliament, correct. The armed forces of the company were transferred to the Crown. All the statements are correct. Option D. Next one, consider the following statements. The JVP committee formally rejected language as the basis for reorganization of the states. This statement is correct. The Dhar Commission recommended the reorganization of the states on the basis of linguistic factor. This statement is wrong. There had been a demand for different regions, particularly South India, for the reorganization of states on linguistic basis. Accordingly, in June 1948, the Government of India appointed the Linguistic Provinces Commission under the chairmanship of S.K. Dhar to examine the feasibility of this. The commission submitted its report in December 1948, recommended the reorganization of the states on the basis of administrative convenience rather than linguistic factor. This created much resentment and led to the appointment of another Linguistic Provinces Committee by the Congress in December 1948 itself to examine this. It consisted of Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel and Pattabhi Sitaramayya, and this is known as JVP Committee. It submitted its report in April 1949 and formally rejected language as the basis for reorganization of the states. Here, option A. Next one, consider the following statements about liberty. First statement, liberty means absence of restraints on the activities of the individuals. This statement is correct. The term liberty means the absence of restraints on the activities of the individuals and at the same time providing opportunities for the development of individual personalities. See the second statement. Liberty in the Indian Constitution is absolute. The statement is wrong. Liberty doesn't mean license to do what one likes, but has to be enjoyed within the limitations mentioned in the Constitution. In brief, liberty conceived by the preamble of the fundamental rights is not absolute but qualified. There is a concept of reasonable restriction imposed to restrain liberty. Here the answer is A. Next question. Consider the following statements about citizenship at the commencement of the Constitution. See the first statement. People who were born in India were considered to be the citizens of India. Of course, correct. Second statement, persons either of whose parents were born in the territory of India were considered to be the Indian citizens. Yes, correct. People who had ordinarily been the residents of the territory of India for not less than 5 years were considered to be the citizens of India. All the statements are correct. Option D. Next one. Consider the following statements about the overseas citizen of India. Here the question they are asking which of the statements given above are incorrect. Okay, first statement. The persons of Indian origin from all countries are eligible to become the overseas citizen of India. Is that statement correct? No. The persons of Indian origin of all countries except from Bangladesh and Pakistan are eligible for the overseas citizens of India status. Second statement, the OCI cards are issued under the Foreigners Act 1946. This statement is wrong. The OCI status is given under the provisions of the Citizenship Act 1955. Third statement, they have all economic and property rights similar to the Indian citizens. This statement is also wrong. This card holder cannot acquire agricultural or plantation properties in India. So here all the three options are wrong and option D is the answer. Next question. Consider the following statements. The Constituent Assembly held its first meeting in December 1945. It's not 1945, it's on 1946. Second statement. The modified version of the objective resolution forms the preamble to the present constitution. That statement is correct. The objective resolution influenced the eventual shaping of the constitution through all its subsequent stages. Its modified version forms the preamble to the present constitution. So here they are asking for the correct statement and it's option B. Next one, consider the following statements about the citizens of India. First statement, all fundamental rights are available to the citizens of India. Yes, that statement is correct. but some are exclusively available to the citizens alone. They are Article 15, 16 and 19. Second statement, according to the Constitution, only the citizens can become the members of the Parliament. This statement is also correct. Only the citizens are eligible to certain offices such as those of President, Vice President, judges of the Supreme Court or High Court, the Attorney General, the Governor of the state and the Advocate General. See this third statement. A non-citizen with special knowledge of law can become the Attorney General of India. The statement is wrong. The right to become a member of the parliament and of the legislature of a state is confined to the citizens. Here the answer is 1 and 2 only, option B. Next one, consider the following statements about the socialism in Indian Constitution. They are asking for the incorrect statements. Okay, first statement, before independence, the Avadi session of the Congress aimed at establishing a socialist pattern of society. Was it before independence? The Indian Constitution aims at establishing a welfare state and the establishment of a socialist state at the Avadi session of Congress in 1955. So this statement is wrong. Second statement, socialist was explicitly mentioned in the Indian Constitution by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. Was it 44th Constitutional Amendment Act? The goal of Indian polity is socialism was declared clearly by inserting the word socialist in the preamble by the 42nd in Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976. It has been inserted to spell out expressly the high ideals of socialism. To be noted, however, that the socialism envisaged by the Indian Constitution is not the usual scheme of state socialism, which involves nationalization of all means of production and the abolition of the private property. Though the word socialism is vague, our Supreme Court has observed that its principal aim is to eliminate inequality of income and status and standards of life and to provide a decent standard of life to the working people. In Indian Constitution, therefore, they do not seek to abolish private property altogether, but seeks to put it under restraints so that it may be used in interest of the nation, which includes the upliftment of the poor. Instead of a total nationalization of all property and industry, it envisages a mixed economy, but aims at offering equal opportunity to all and the abolition of vested interest. Okay, see the third statement. Post 1991, India's commitment to socialism has expanded. The statement is wrong. From 1992 onwards, the trend is now away from socialism to privatization. Investment in many public enterprises has been divested in favor of private persons, and many industries and services which were reserved for the government sector has been thrown open for the private enterprise. This is in keeping with the worldwide trend after the collapse of socialism in the USSR and the East European countries. Here, all the three statements are incorrect, so option D. This is an easy question. Which of the following are the salient features of the Indian Constitution? 1. Federal system with unitary vice, yes. Secular state, yes. Universal adult franchise, yes. Dual citizenship, no. Presidential form of government, of course not. So here the option is A. Next one, consider the following statements. They are asking for correct statement. Laws provided under Article 2 and 3 are to be considered amendments of the Constitution under Article 368. The statement is wrong, we know that. Article 4 of the Indian Constitution specifies that the laws provided in Article 2 and 3, admission or establishment of new states and alteration of the names, areas, boundaries, etc. of the established states are not to be considered amendments of the Constitution under Article 368. Look at the second statement. By a simple majority and by the ordinary legislative process, the Parliament may form new states or alter the boundaries. This statement is correct. So option B. Next one, consider the following statements. They are asking for correct statements. The Socialist and the Forward Bloc members increased in Constituent Assembly after the partition. In early 1948, the Socialist and the Forward Bloc served their connections with the Congress and directed its members to resign from the Assembly. The members declined and continued in the Constituent Assembly. So first statement is wrong. The Muslim League had no members left in the Constituent Assembly after the partition. Some of the Muslim Leaguers and the Akali member Sardar Hukam Singh, however, remained strong critics of the Constitution for the denial of political status of the minorities to the Muslims and the Sikhs. So this statement is also wrong. Option D. Next one, consider the following statements about the Pitt India Act of 1784. First statement, the Act established a board of control to guide and control the work of the Court of Directors and the Government of India. This statement is correct. Second one, the Act laid the foundation of a centralized administration. We know that it is correct. Third statement, the Act stated that the presidencies of Madras and Bombay were independent of the presidency of Bengal in all matters of war and peace. This statement is wrong. The Act clearly stated that the presidencies of Madras and Bombay were to be subordinate to the presidency of Bengal in all matters of war, diplomatic relations and revenue. Fourth statement, the officers of the Governor General and the Commander-in-Chief were to be united in the same person. Here 1, 2 and 4 are correct. Option A. Next one, which of the following persons were not the members of the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly? Of course, Jawaharlal Nehru and Gandhi were not a part of the drafting committee. So here option B. It consisted of 7 members. They were Dr. B.R. Ambedkar chairman, N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar, Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, Dr. K. M. Munshi, Syed Muhammad Sadullah, N. Madhav Rao. He replaced B.L. Mitta, who resigned due to ill health. T.T. Krishnamachari. He replaced D.P. Kaitan, who died in 1948. Okay. Consider the following statements about the National Register of Citizens. First statement, it is statutorily backed by the Citizenship Act 1955. This statement is correct. Section 14A was inserted in the Citizenship Act 1955 in 2004, providing for the compulsory registration of every citizen of India and the issue of national identity card to him or her. It also said that the central government may maintain a national register of Indian citizens. See the second statement, the first NRC was prepared in 1951. Yes. See the third statement, the Foreigners Tribunal can be created only by the state and the central government to declare a person as a foreigner. This statement is wrong because under the provisions of this Foreigners Act of 1946 and the Foreigner Tribunals Order 1964, only the Foreigners Tribunal have the right to declare a person as a foreigner. Recently, the Ministry of Home Affairs has amended the Foreigner Tribunal Order of 1964. It has given the powers to the district magistrates, the state governments and the central government to establish the Foreigners Tribunal. So here, statement 1 and 2 are correct. Option A. Last question. Consider the following statements regarding the secular nature of Indian Constitution. Secularism has been enunciated as a basic structure of Indian Constitution. This statement is correct. Second statement, secular state has been explicitly mentioned in the original Constitution of India. However, as the Supreme Court had said in 1974, the word secular state was not expressly mentioned in the Constitution. There can be no doubt that the Constitution makers wanted to establish such a state, and accordingly Articles 25 and 28 guarantees the fundamental right to freedom of religion has been included in the Constitution. So, second statement is wrong, not explicitly mentioned in the original Constitution of India. Third statement, the Constitution bars the Indian state to intervene in the religious affairs of any community. Is that correct? While the communities have been given the right to freely practice, profess and propagate of any religion, the Indian state can intervene in the religious affairs. So this statement is also wrong. So here the answer is option B. Please let us know through the comment section whether you have any doubts regarding the topics that are discussed in the video. This Friday, we have the second test of polity in UPSC Quizzer Telegram channel at 5 p.m. Please attend the live test. Keep watching. Thank you so much.